All right, let's get into it. Miami Grand Slam track is going down. Already put out a couple videos with myself and Coach Rob doing our initial reaction and predictions based on the challengers once they were announced. But today, just like prior to Kingston Grand Slam track, I'm going to give you my top 8 for each of the events. Here, I'm going to be talking about the short sprints as well as the long sprints for the men and the women. Then tomorrow, going to talk about the hurdles, the short and long hurdles for the men and the women. Going to kind of condense things as this was not easy to do. When I tell you, if you want to, give me your opinion or criticize my opinion, I encourage you to do it. Go in the comments below and give me what you think about my predictions. But when I tell you that making a top 8 on each event for each group, it's not easy. It is not easy. So give me some grace, but I'm going to dive in. Just my opinion. As I always say, Miami Grand Slam track, kicking it off, men's short sprints. First off, I'm going to start from the bottom. In 8th place, I have Jerome Blake taking the 8th place spot. I think he's, not one of those stronger athletes in the field, but he has run 10 seconds, slightly windy, plus 2.1 meters per second this year already. So keep a lookout for him representing Canada. Just ahead of him, I do have Benjamin Richardson coming in 7th place with 4 points. Again, he's run 9.89 seconds last year, but that was at altitude. He did make the semifinals at the Paris Olympic Games, but I think when stacking up against the rest of this field, he's just not as strong as you might expect. So I have those two in 8th and 7th places, but in 6th place, this is actually where I have Zarnell Hughes. And it's crazy because he actually got 2nd place overall behind Kenny B in Kingston, but I have him down in 6th place here only because I think some of the other guys are going to be stepping things up. Zarnell actually hasn't competed since the Kingston Grand Slam track meet, so I'm not sure what form he's in. I think he pulled out of one of the meets, but who knows? I do think that he'll be able to show up, maybe run a little bit faster, but I have him getting 5th place in the 100 and then 4th place in the 200. Looking at 200, 5th place overall in the standings, I have Andre DeGrasse also getting 9 points because I have him getting 3rd place in the 200 and then 6th place in the 100. Now, Andre, he is someone who does tend to get a little bit better as the season progresses, but as I was kind of like splitting up, again, going from a top 8, which is not easy, I had Andre doing a lot better in that 200, just relative to this field, where in the 100, I don't know, just against some of these other guys, it's tough to put him in that spot. But because I have him 3rd over Zarnell in the 200, he's going to get a little bit of that edge, despite them both having 9 points. But the next couple guys, they actually have 9 points as well. Oblique Seville. Oblique Seville is in my 4th place position here, where Oblique, I actually have him taking 4th place in the 100-meter dash. This is tough because he just got 2nd in Kingston, but I think that some of the other guys are going to surpass him in this 100, just considering what I've seen over the past couple weeks since Kingston. While Oblique in the 200, I just don't think he's going to be able to hold up. I think he'll, remain relatively, the same, similar to what he did in Kingston, but some of the other guys are going to finish ahead of him. So overall 4th place, just ahead, and this was really, really tough, but I gave it to Akeem Blake for the 3rd place spot. Akeem Blake, I have him getting 3rd in that 100, and then I also have him getting 6th place in the 200. So significantly down the pack, but because I have him getting 3rd over Oblique's 4th in the 100 meters, that's why I'm giving him the nod, despite all these guys having 9 points. Akeem Blake just ran 9.96 seconds a couple weeks back, so really showing that he is in form, and he does not want to finish down the pack like he did in Kingston. I'm looking to see what Akeem Blake is able to do here. Now, as we move up, the top 2, number 2, Fred Kerley. Overall, I have Fred Kerley winning the 100 and getting 2nd place in the 200. What we saw in Kingston proved that Fred Kerley does not like to lose. We didn't see him do well in that 100. I think he's going to completely flip that around. That 400 that he ran a couple weeks back in Mount Sac, that gave him a little bit more confidence and showed that he is still a triple threat across the board, 100, 200, 400. And we know that for the most part, the 100 is his strong suit. Now, it's not the end of the season. We're still kind of in May or whatever it is, but I think that Fred Kerley is going to really show up here and then turn that around and get 2nd place in the 200. Very similar to like he did. He got 3rd place in the 200 in Kingston after, not a great showing. I think he's going to really step things up, but there's not going to be any stopping Kenny B here. Kenny B, he'll lose in my predictions to Fred Kerley in the 100, but I do have him winning the 200. Like it's too hard to bet against Kenny B based on what, he's able to do, what he's capable of doing. I'm not betting against him, but both of them getting 20 points. I do have Kenny B getting the slight edge because I think the gap in the 200 is going to be a little bit bigger than the gap in the 100 that Fred Kerley will have over Kenny B. But these are just my predictions. If you want to criticize, go in the comments, let me know. But let's move over to the women's short sprints, which I'm gonna be honest, this was probably the hardest group for me to be able to pick a full top 8. Like, yes, I can say, oh yeah, I think maybe, Brittany Brown is going to do this, Gabby Thomas and Melissa Jefferson. I could say all that. But then when it gets down to picking top 8 in the 100, top 8 in the 200, it's not easy. try it. But let's dive right in, starting from the bottom. This kind of hurts. Shout out to Daryl Nita, but I have her in last place with 4 points overall. I just think based on what we saw in Kingston and then what we saw, more recently after that, I think the Pure Athletics meet at Tom Jones, just those performances unfortunately didn't give me confidence in Daryl at the moment. The season, she definitely is going to be one to turn things on as the season progresses, but I have her unfortunately in last place here in Miami. So we'll see. But after that, Jason Sears, she did very well in Kingston and she's a newly minted pro, but I do have her getting 5 points here. She's going to come up getting 5th place in the 100-meter dash, and then I also have her getting last place in the 200, just considering this field. And again, it's not to disparage in any capacity, but just when stacking things up, actually creating a top 8, it's not easy. So Jason Sears coming in at my number 7, but then just ahead, Kayla White. Now, Kayla White, she's going to be, I think, decently, well equipped to compete with the rest of these women. She's coming off, injury last year, but she started the season pretty well. She ran 11.11 seconds into a headwind not too long ago. So I think that really does indicate some positive, trajectory for her. She did run a 4x1. She did run a 200. Like, she's run some races, but we'll see how she does kind of progress throughout the rest of the season and here in Miami. Now, this was really close, but I gave Tamari Davis the nod over Kayla White in 5th place because Tamari Davis, I actually have her getting 4th place in the 200, though I have her last place in the 100. And this is no fault, no hate at all based on what Tamari Davis has done. It's just when I'm actually stacking things up, it's so hard to actually make these picks. So Tamari Davis, 6 points, getting my 5th place nod here. In 4th place, this is tough, but Brittany Brown actually jumping up to 13 points. Brittany Brown, I think, is going to get 2nd place in the 200, but in the 100, I have her getting 4th place. Brittany Brown, she, pulled out of the Kingston Grand Slam track meet, due to, some setbacks or something like that, but she did run the anchor leg on the 4x1 at the Tom Jones Memorial, and she ran a very strong anchor leg. But just when I'm comparing her to some of the other women, especially in that 100, it's not enough data for me to truly say, all right, she's going to beat out some of these other women. But don't let me disparage Brittany Brown in any capacity. We saw what she did getting the bronze medal at the Olympics last year. She won the Diamond League in the 200. She won Athos last year as well. She also got to the final at the World Championships in the 100-meter dash in 2023. Brittany Brown is extremely accomplished, but 2nd place in the 200, 4th place in the 100. Now moving up overall standings, Favor O'Feely. Favor O'Feely is going to really step things up. We saw her just run sub 11 seconds in the 100-meter dash down in LSU. We saw her run a pretty good 200 at Tom Jones as well behind Julian Alfred. So Favor O'Feely, I have her getting 14 points here with a 2nd place in the 100 and then a 3rd place in the 200. This is where things get really tricky, but the top 2, Melissa Jefferson Wooden, I have her getting 2nd place. She's going to win the 100, getting a full 12 points, but I have her down the pack in that 200, 4 points in the 200, down in 5th, because some of these other women are just so much, more talented in the 200 specifically. When you have a Brittany Brown, a Favor O'Feely, a Tamari, like these are 200-meter athletes. I just think this is going to be where it comes to a little bit of a head for for Melissa Jefferson Wooden, but we'll see. 2nd place overall with 16 points. Here, I do have Gabby Thomas taking the overall win, 18 points to get the short sprints win. Once again, after her long sprints win, of course, I have her taking the 200 meters overall, getting that 12 points. Then in the 100, I have her taking 3rd place. And I did kind of straddle back and forth between Brittany and Gabby, but just because Gabby ran that 11.02 down in Texas, legal, not too far off her personal best, that gave me a lot more confidence in her ability going into the 100 at this moment in Miami. And then, of course, that's going to translate over into the 200. So I think that Gabby Thomas overall is going to get the win. Melissa Jefferson just behind, Favor O'Feely, and then Brittany Brown, in 3rd and 4th place. But again, if y'all don't like my predictions, please prove me wrong this weekend. I would love to be proven wrong. Let's go over to the long sprints though for the men and the women. Also, if you're not already, Citius Mag, we are on the ground in Miami. So just like we did last time, we're going to have a pre-show. We're going to have post-race shows after every single day of Grand Slam track in Miami. Be sure to tune in. I'll have all the links in the description of the video. Let's get back to these predictions. This men's one was very, very tricky. But let's dive into it. Men's long sprints, starting from the bottom. Unfortunately, Muzala Samukonga didn't look great in Kingston, and I'm not sure exactly how he might be able to translate things going into Miami now. I have him last place in that 200. He really unfortunately didn't, show up well in Kingston. But then in the 400, I do have him in 6th place. So we'll see how that kind of does translate, but that's going to get him 4 points. Moving over to number 7 overall, Ryan Zezé. Now, competing for France, he actually is a really strong kind of 100, 200 runner in a sense. Not as strong in the 400 where he's only run like 45 seconds, but he does have some decent chops in the 200. So I have him getting 4th place overall in the 200 while I have him last place in the 400. So we'll see how that does kind of chop out. But next up, 6th place. This is where y'all might find it surprising. I have Steven Gardner in 6th place. Now, don't come at me, or feel free to come at me in the comments if you want, but I have Steven Gardner getting 5th place overall in the 200, and then I have him getting 5th place also in the 400. Now, this is probably strange, but I just have to take into consideration that he's coming off of injury for, I don't know, the past couple years. Couldn't compete last year. 2023 in Budapest, he got to the Worlds, but, got injured. Even 2022 was injured. So it's just tough to see him really, or for me to pick him a little bit higher. Now, he did run 20.4 seconds at the Tom Jones Memorial into a decent headwind, but I need to see him competing against some of these top guys before I can say he's really going to step things up. So that's where I have Steven Gardner. Next up, Bryce Deadman. So I'll be honest, I have Bryce Deadman down in 7th in the 200. Doesn't have a great 200 meter personal best, which he just ran not too long ago. But in that 400, I have him getting 3rd place. He ran 44.3 seconds not too long ago, was the world lead for about a week's time. And I have him getting 5th place overall ahead of Steven Gardner because Bryce has that 3rd place finish in the 400. So highest finish in either of the events is going to get the nod. Now, after that, coming in for my 4th place, this is where I have Ja'Cory Patterson. I kind of teetered on this. I went back and forth a little bit, but Ja'Cory Patterson coming off an amazing 400 meters where he ran 44.2 seconds at Tom Jones, but I have him getting 2nd place in the 400, but kind of down in the pack, 6th place in the 200. He's a very strong 200 runner, but when I'm stacking him up against some of the other guys, it's tough for me to really push him up the edge here. But 11 points for that 4th place. Moving on up, Jareem Richards. Now, Jareem Richards kind of finished right in this pack in Kingston as well, but I have him getting 13 points for the 3rd place spot here. 2nd place in the 200 to someone you could probably guess who's ahead, but I have him getting 4th place in the 400. I still think there's some aspects for him to be able to step up a little bit in the 400, but he did just run a new personal best of 10.16 seconds in the 100. Yes, it's not sub 10. That's not even 10.0, but that does give me a strong indication that he still has a lot of speed despite him having moved over to the 400, over the past year or so. I think that Jareem Richards is going to really be able to show himself in the 200 and then hopefully a little bit better than he did in Kingston in his 400. Now, number 1, Alex Ogando is in my number 2 here, 14 points just ahead of Jareem Richards. He, in my opinion, is going to take the 200. Over the past couple years, he has been the most consistent 200 meter runner in this field. He really is a 200 meter runner. He made the World Championship finals in 2022 and 2023 and the Olympic Games final in 2024. So he's been a finalist in the 200 across the board. Personal best of like 19.86. So it's actually behind Jareem Richards, who was run 19.8, and behind Steven Gardner, who's run 19.75, but that was kind of back in 2018. But I do have him taking the 200, and then his 400 is not that great. He's run 45 seconds. He's really not as strong of a 400 runner relative to some of these other guys. So I have him down in 7th place. Overall, getting the win, Matthew Hudson-Smith, I think that he's going to take home another $100,000. 1st place in the 400. It's hard for me, based on what we saw this past weekend, it's hard for me to say that he's going to lose this 400. Could happen, but just based on my picks now. And then I have him 3rd place in the 200. He really showed up in that 200 in Kingston. He really showed up. So I have him getting 3rd place here, 1st place in the 400. Overall, 1st place for 18 points. So again, feel free to criticize me. If any of y'all athletes who might be watching, I know y'all have told me some things in person, and listen, prove me wrong. So let's finish up with the women's long sprints. This one is kind of a little bit easier to pick. We don't have Gabby Thomas in here, but 1st and 2nd can kind of go back and forth. I'll actually start from the top here. I have Saweed Nasser taking the overall win, and then Marlita Paulino in 2nd place. Both of them are far and above from the rest of the field, both in the 400 and then also the 200 based on what we saw in Kingston. Nasser, I think she's going to continue her consistency in the 400. Maybe, I don't know if she'll run as fast as she did in Kingston, but I still think that she's going to run extremely fast. Paulino, I think will maybe step things up a little bit, but I think that she'll be just behind. So Nasser and Paulino 1st and 2nd in the 400, and then I actually have Paulino taking the 200, while as Nasser is going to take 2nd in the 200. So I think they'll flip-flop between the 2 and the 4, but those are my top 2, holding it down there. But Amber Anning is going to be my third place. She's coming in as a challenger. I have her getting third place in both the 200 and the 400. This is her first professional season. She's coming off a world indoor gold medal in that 400. Very close with Alexis Holmes, who on this list I actually have in fourth place. I think Amber Anning is just going to be slightly better when talking about both the 200 and the 400, and a little bit more equipped to really perform, better here. Though Alexis Holmes, I feel like she's motivated to really show up here. She did, pretty decent, kind of even in the pack, middle of the pack in Kingston overall, but she also did just run or equal her personal best in the 200 not too long ago as well. So I think she's really trying to step things up and get in the mix here. Who knows? Amber, Alexis kind of back and forth, but I do have Amber in third, Alexis in fourth. Behind them, Stacey Ann Williams, Nikisha Price, both getting 7 points, but I do think that Stacey Ann Williams is going to finish slightly higher in the 200 in terms of that time ahead of Nikisha Price, despite them being, fifth and sixth place, in both the 200 and the 400 respectively. So we'll see how that kind of does play out. I think Nikisha will step things up. Didn't do as well in Kingston, but I think her season is going to start to progress a little bit more. It's her first professional season, so I'll give her a little bit grace here. Now, after that, to close things out, Isabella Whitaker coming in as a challenger in 7th place here, and then Kendall Ellis in 8th. This is tough because Kendall Ellis is the U.S. trials champion from last year, ran really fast, 49.4 seconds, I think, but, I just have her in last place, unfortunately, because I don't think at this point in the season she's going to be as ready, but we'll see how that actually does play out. Isabella Whitaker coming off what she did at the NCAA Indoor Champs, where she ran 49.2 indoors. I don't think she's going to be as strong, but we'll see how that actually does play out. I do have her getting 7th, and then also Kendall Ellis in 8th. So that's just my picks: men's and women's short sprints, men's and women's long sprints. Again, this is not easy. Picking a top 8 for the 100, 200, 400, like a full top 8, it's not easy. Yes, it may be easy to say, oh, I think that this athlete is going to do this or this athlete is going to do this, but when you're actually putting it on paper, it's not easy. So go in the comments, let me know. You may disagree. I'm sure that many of y'all are going to disagree, but you may also agree. Let me know. And if you can, give me a full top 8. I would love to see it. But always appreciate y'all. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Back in next time. Thanks for watching, y'all.